After losing their homes in the bushfires, these vulnerable families trusted Glenn Stevenson to build them a new one. Despite being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, all he's delivered is a leaky dome and a hole in the ground.
They lost their homes in the Black Summer bushfires.
This is too bad, man.
Yeah, I think he's a pathological liar.
And then they say they lost them again to this man.
They say you've done a runner on them.
Well, that's so untrue, it's not funny.
They're not laughing in the fire zone.
Preying on vulnerable people is just not the way to do it.
He just doesn't have a heart at all.
He's just made the fires look like a backyard barbecue now.
Because he was far worse than the fires.
Yeah, well, the fires were over and done with. We knew where we stood. For 2.5 years, we haven't known where we've stood.
Tonight, the lowest of the low.
You took money from people who lost their homes in bushfires.
We're building their houses.
It's appalling. You're not building them. You're not building them.
Have you been down to Cabago?
Yes, you're not
and
building them.
And you've seen the house?
It's incomplete and it's structurally unsound.
It isn't.
It is
finished.
Structurally unsound and it's incomplete.
Glenn Stevenson's green magic hobbit homes, just like those in the movie Lord of the Rings, was the perfect fire-resilient house for those living in bushfire regions. He flogged them on the local radio station.
They are beautiful.
And then pushed them in the flood zones of northern New South Wales. Glenn seems to follow the natural disasters.
Here is a home that does exactly what our bureaucrats want, which is be sustainable.
Sue and Gordon lost everything in the Black Summer fires on the New South Wales far south coast.
Yeah, we had nothing here when there was no electricity, power or anything.
You lived in that little yellow caravan up there?
Yeah.
For how long?
Probably about 8 months.
Then they moved into this demountable.
It's basically the size of, you know, a bedroom.
Yeah. And then you decided, we're going to rebuild. Let's go down and have a look at what's happened down there.
Yeah.
Good intentions were to build anyway.
They cursed the day Glenn Stevenson turned up on their land.
He came across like, oh, you can sit back, you know, basically we'll build the house in 3 months. You don't have to worry about anything.
2.5 years on, it's only 40% complete, and he got 100% of their money.
The money. Can you pay them out today? Can you give them a cheque? You can't.
Forget the advertised lawn on the roof. The dome's not waterproof. The concrete base.
But even though it's all just falling apart.
Yeah.
Plaster is also falling from every ceiling. The concrete slab isn't even. The doors don't shut. And bizarrely, he's even gyprocked outside. For all their fire insurance money, they got this.
Well, Glenn didn't do any of the council requirements. And then the last straw for us is when the frames and the waterproofing, he didn't do those either. And we asked many times, please don't let this happen again. But he doesn't care about regulations or rules, so.
Not far from Sue and Gordon is another property where Glenn Stevenson came promising a new home and better future. The owner also lost her home in those terrible fires, but far worse was to come.
The elderly homeowner is just so distraught she won't appear on camera. The woman told me she handed over $500,000 to Stevenson, and for all that money, all she received was a hole in the ground.
We can't build houses in the state of New South Wales. You're absolutely right.
If that's the case, how are you going to build those 2 homes that we're talking about down there in the bushfire
So
region?
our global company has organised for another builder to actually finish those houses, which makes it compliant.
But have they rung you, this global company?
I actually did get in contact with them, and I spoke to a fella in New Zealand, but yeah, It's Glenn's responsibility.
These people went through the bushfires.
Yeah, that's why
they
we
lost their
decided
homes
to
in the
build that
bushfires.
house for cost.
And then you come in there
Look,
and you
I
take
love
their
the-
money
I love
and
the
you
good
didn't build their
television.
homes. How many years would you like to build your homes?
We
Because you've taken
have
way too
been
many.
Shut down for 2 lots of COVID shutdowns. We had
2
5
weeks.
months twice where
Yes,
we
did.
were not allowed.
Construction was
Don't-
allowed to build. I'm sorry, I cannot
okay.
accept that. Construction
So-
was allowed to build throughout COVID, except for 2 weeks.
He just gives us nightmares now, like we can't sleep properly anymore.
Yeah, he just doesn't understand, and he never will.
Yeah,
Do you think he has a heart, given what you've been through with
no
the
way.
bushfires?
not at all. Not at all.
Let me come back to what I just said. The global
You could
business.
sell ice to Eskimos, my friend. You really could. You're very good.
Just one excuse after the other.
He is a good salesman.
We're warning consumers not to engage with Green Magic Homes Australia after its director, Glenn Stevenson, ripped off vulnerable bushfire victims.
It doesn't get much blunter than that from the Minister for Fair Trading in New South Wales, Eleni Patinos.
It's absolutely disgusting to rip off anyone at all, but to go and rip off people who have been the subject of the bushfires or floods or any kind of natural disaster and then take advantage of that situation, it's absolutely disgusting.
The Minister has now cancelled his licence after
Glenn Stevenson failed to report his prior fraud convictions to fair trading.
Are you operating without all the necessary paperwork?
Well, we are now because Fair Trading cancelled our licence.
That's right.
To build
But
houses.
here he was on the day we cornered him, trying to flog his Hobbit home incarnation, Hobbit Homes for Agriculture. In the meantime, Sue and Gordon continue to live in their tiny demountable, while that unsafe, unfinished, unapproved mess stares at them in their face every day. And Fair Trading tries to work out where their money went.
Fair Trading is continuing to investigate how consumer funds have been spent by Mr Stevenson and whether or not any of that expenditure has been personal in nature.
Who knows now?
That's
we can't
it, that's
finish
where-
it with the money that we've got.
You
so-
haven't got any more money left
Yeah.
to do this?
No, I've had not much, no. Not...
Can I ask, how do you sleep at night?
Pretty easy.
You must have a very good mattress because truly, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I was you. Taking money from people in bushfires.
Yes?
Can you do me one favour?
Sure.
Don't go to Lismore. Please don't go up to Lismore and do that to the people who suffered in the floods. Goodbye.
Good on you.
Anyone who's had dealings with Green Magic Homes is urged to contact New South Wales Fair Trading. The details are on our website.